Alright, in the first episode we did a couple of different things. We fixed fuel leaks in the fuel pressure regulator, we cleaned the fuel pressure regulator, we set our fuel pressure to 45 psi, we worked on the throttle position sensor, or TPS, setting that to 0.54 ohms at no throttle. We confirmed that we had spark. We confirmed that the ECU drivers were functioning and sending 12 volts to the injectors. Now let's get into today's episode. The other thing that I already did too, and I can show you here in a sec if you like, but I checked the resistance on 3 of the injectors. I know I probably should do all of them, but they are reading right around 15 ohms. And looking, these are old SVO Ford 30-pound injectors from eons ago, and they should be rated, or they should be pulling resistance somewhere between 11 and 18 ohms. So I'm good as long as they're, you know, relatively close to each other. Alright, so really all we do is just going to change this to ohms and 14.89, and then the guy next to it. Yep, same with that one. So I'm going to do all the rest of these, and then we'll try and figure out what to do next. I think maybe pulling the fuel rails off, looking to see if it's dumping any fuel into here. If it's not, maybe the injectors are dirty, who knows. Alright, this may be a waste of time, but I want to see what it looks like at the bottom of these injectors, check the rail out, see if we're actually dumping fuel in. I rolled it over a couple of more times just to see if it's going to shoot some fuel in there. I don't have any starting fluid, otherwise I would have already tried that. But these 2 back bolts are locked in tight, and this is all aluminum, so I really don't want to helicoil this stuff, especially on the car, or have to pull the intake manifold off. So put some tranny fluid down. We're going to let that work its way in for an hour or so, and then I'm going to tap on it again with a hammer, see if I can knock whatever corrosion's loose, give it a like an 1/8 or 16th turn tight, and then try and back it off. Alright, the tranny fluid has seeped down, and I was actually able to get this one out over lunch. I haven't tried this one because I wanted to grab the camera, so let's see. Well, this one's going to be a little bit of a bugger. That feeling you get when you know you're going to snap a bolt inside your intake manifold. Well, we'll wrestle with this, see what happens. What if I torque this side down? Oh. Nope. Oh, man. Oh. No stinking way. Alright. Basically what I want to see is, one, do I have an ejector that's stuck open? Or am I even getting the injectors to spray? I think they are. It smells like fuel. Alright, I'll be seriously surprised if you guys can hear this, but so I've got a jumper going to the injector. It's not clicking at all. So we're going to try tranny fluid again to loosen up the injector. So I'm just going to throw some tranny fluid in this here like this. And if you notice, this one's all gray on the back side. And this one also does not work, so I'm just gonna, I think I'm gonna put these 3 in here, fill her up. Alright, so I'm just gonna put these 3 injectors in the transmission fluid here. I'm just gonna let them soak for a day. I'll take one of them out, brake clean it off. I mean, transmission fluid's awesome for cleaning, for, you know, unseizing things. So if I ruin these, I mean, they're already not working, so why not give it a shot, right? So I'm just gonna let this sit here for a day. But just to catch up to speed, I only had one injector on the driver's side that actually clicked. So I'll try the other ones. I'm not gonna put a whole bunch of time in, because if I can't get one of these to work, I gotta order new injectors anyway. So see you in a day. Alright, yeah, today I'm all dressed up for the motor. So we got the other two injectors still soaking in there. I just cleaned off this guy. I'm really curious to see if I get a click now. I don't believe it. I must see if I can bring you guys in close to see if you can hear this now. Fire's only so long. I know, guy joke, whatever. So hopefully you can hear this. If you can hear that, that is the solenoid clicking now. Unbelievable. Well, I'm gonna move on and do the other side as well. I think I'm sold. Transmission fluid is awesome. Alright, these injectors have been sitting in here for a couple of weeks now, so we're going to test them out today and see if any of them have been revived. From the last clip that I took, we had one good one and we had one that we were able to get functional again, so yeah. Okay, so I tested the 4 that were in this glass. Nothing, no movement, no clicks, nothing. But I get to this one where I had the other 2 and this one started working. So the only thing I'm going to change, I'm going to test this one next, but I think I'm going to flip them, because originally I had these, I don't know if you can see that or not, but I had them so they're right side up. Now I've got them in nozzle side up, so we'll see. Maybe it's just not the training fluid's not getting in past the contaminants, I don't know. But I'm gonna flip them upside down and let them sit for a couple more weeks until hunting's over, and then we'll kind of check back. So yeah, see what happens. Alright, so we've got the injector still soaking from hunting season. As you can see, it's yeah, it's cold out. I'm going to still try and make some progress on this today. I'd like to see this running by the end of the day. We'll see what happens though. I do have a bit of a surprise though. 30-pound injectors, we're probably running into fueling issues around capacity, volume, whatever you want to call it. So rather than putting, you know, partially functioning injectors, I do have quite a bit of money into this motor, and thought about it when I was sitting in my tree stand and really decided, yeah, we're gonna put some 36-pounders in today. So that's the plan. Should be relatively quick. We'll see what happens. Alright, these injectors, as you can tell, are not new. They have been cleaned, flow tested, and ready to go. So all I really need to do is lubricate these seals. What do you think I'm going to use? Yeah, I'm just going to use a little tranny fluid. We're going to install all of them. We're going to test for leaks, and we're going to crank the motor over and see what happens. So I'm not going to show all the other stuff of installing these. I think you guys can figure that piece out, but let me get to work on that. We'll check back when that's done. Alright, got a little bit of lubricant on all the injectors. Now we're going to see if we can get these fitted up. And in case you're new to these motors, this is what we call batch fire injection, meaning that unlike new vehicles where it fires each injector with each cylinder, or just before that, these ones fire bank to bank. So it doesn't matter if I swap these 2 connections around, because it's still providing 12 volts at the exact same time for this side of this side of the engine. So yeah, in case you're new to those motors, that helps. Okay, so it was a little bit of an arm wrestling job, but yeah, you can see got the injectors in both sides. The only thing that I'm really worried about is the crossover tube on the back side. I need to check for leaks there, so we'll prime real quick and make sure that we're not leaking out of there. Everything else should be okay, but we'll double check anyway, and then we're gonna fire. Alright, turns out I was right. We were just leaking like a sieve back here, so I'm gonna replace the seals. I want to give a special thanks to a YouTube channel called Camaro Family. He did a nice breakdown on TPI fuel rail rebuild for Camaro Firebird Corvette, and gave all the AC Delco part numbers, the GM part numbers. Apparently, though, some of those they're not made anymore. But he did link in the description this guy, which is the rear tube seal kit, along with some other goodies. And inside this kit is what I need. So let's get to it. Alright, so like I was saying, if you need to replace the seals, take a look at this kit. However, hold up. Wait. For me, this does not apply. The O-rings are actually bigger in the tubes behind, so I called up TPIS and got some seals. So we're going to install these and hopefully fire the car up. Alright, got the seals installed. Now we're going to check for leaks. Well, as you can tell from the last video, we've got a fuel leak. So the plan is to take out the pressure side, take out the return side, and same thing for the other fitting down here. They all go down, and I'll show you in a sec here, but they go down to hard lines, which I don't need to replace, so I'm happy that I put the hard lines in. Alright, we got our 3 lengths of hose. We've got return, and then we've got the 2 for the rail side. Time to go order some parts. Okay, so we've got our dash 8 and our dash 10 lines. I got some new replacement hose in black. I didn't get any new fittings because these things are extremely expensive. But basically what we're going to do is we're just going to measure out what we need, we're going to cut it, and we're going to assemble the fittings. Alright, so as far as hoses go, it's relatively easy to install these, but it takes a long time, and you have to fight it the whole way. So what I like to do is I will just take my template, and if I measure this all out, this hose will come to about here. So before I do any cutting, I want to check the factory cut and make sure that it's okay. This one looks like it's alright, but the problem that you're going to run into is if you can't get this collar over. So that's the biggest challenge, is trying to get these collars over. And these hoses aren't as bad as these ones with the steel braided line. These ones are kind of a pain. There is a little steel reinforcement in here that it can catch on, but I think what we're going to do is we're just going to slide this one on, try and work with it a little bit. And basically all you need to do is spin it on, and then you're going to want this to bottom out at the bottom of these threads. So let me take a look here in a minute, but we'll get this one spun down and I'll show you where it's supposed to be. Alright, so that's approximately where you want it to be. If you go up any higher, it's just gonna get pushed out anyway. And then when you're tightening, you just want to make sure that this collar doesn't slide out too far. It's going to slide a little bit, but not too much.
So in order to prep, these are old fittings, so you just want to make sure that you don't have any garbage in there. Otherwise, clean the threads out, otherwise you're going to strip them out. But what I like to do is I'll just stick it in a vise. And this vise is smooth because it's really old, so otherwise I would put some sort of protective material on there. And then we'll take some silicone spray, hit it a little bit, and then as far as our fittings go, these should go in relatively easy. You just want to make sure that when you're starting these, you don't cross thread. But I should be able to spin most of this in by hand. Well, with hand tools, I should say. But it shouldn't be too tight. I mean, this one's going pretty good. And you're going to want to make sure that these two are bottomed out or close to it. And keep in mind these are aluminum threads, so if you crank on them too hard, they will shred. So I think the hose is spinning now and I can hear the fibers crunching, so I'm going to stop here. And yeah, this isn't going anywhere. So now that this one's on, now I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I always assemble one end on before I make a cut because you're gonna screw up the cuts or something's gonna go wrong. Plan for it, buy extra hose. Yeah, let's move on to cutting and I'll show you guys what I use for that. Alright, some tools you don't want to use. Don't want to use these. These are not PVC cutter, snips. They're just going to be a pain. If you don't have the right tools, you can use one of these steel blade saws or something similar. Problem is it's going to be difficult to keep the cut square, so you might want to make a jig. What I like to use is just an air-powered cutoff wheel. It works fantastic. If you have an electric one, use that. Yes, it's not going to be perfectly square, but at least I can lay the hose flat. It'll burn through the rubber, it'll cut the metal, and I'll have a relatively decent edge to assemble. So why don't we do that real quick here. Basically I just put the tape on here for reference. Makes it easier to cut. We will flatten this bad boy out, and I'm just gonna, I mean, this is where the cut needs to be. I'm gonna go in halfway. So not a perfect cut, but pretty decent. So again, fold these down. And just twist it and push. This may look easy, but it's not. I had to screw with a bunch of hoses in order to get this right. Both previous and today, so. And we're about there for that, so we'll lock her in. And I think you get the picture, but then we'll end up with this completed hose. And that's the goal. And hopefully we can do this without leaks. Alright, so I just started taking this one apart, and if you notice, threads, it might not be very clear, but they're just a little mangled. I've had some that are worse, and really all I do is this is a hardened pick, and I'll just start a couple threads in and make sure that there's no contaminants in the threads, because yeah, that'll start your cross-threading process. But so really just want to make sure that we're getting this stuff cleared out. So I'll go all the way around, but you get the idea. And then once you get to the end, you get a nice fresh cut on your threads. Or if you have a chasing tool, you can do that. But I think these look okay. But you get the picture. Well, I got all the connections made. And I'm going to check for leaks now. So why don't we go ahead and do that. Alright, battery charger's hooked up. Let's try this again. That's a lot of fucking fuel, holy shit. Alright, so I've had leaks everywhere and it's just been a pain. But after reassembling again, let's take a look-see and see what's going on here. See any leaks anywhere, so yeah, I think it's time. If only you could feel what sounds like extreme bass coming off the exhaust. It's just insane. I'm so happy. Holy crap, it's been a long time. She ain't happy, but she'll get there. We got 36-pound injectors, so the computer's not happy about that. It hasn't run in 2 years, it's not happy about that. Get some heat into her. See what's up. He's creeping a little bit. I'm surprised my family hasn't come out. Oh shit.